Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and as we look ahead to Loki Season 2, seriously, what the hell is Miss Minutes? Yes, she's the beloved mascot of the TVA, she's voiced by Tara Strong, and she has a mystery backstory, but she also has a mystery anatomy. We do not know what she is made out of. Like, she isn't just a projection on a computer screen or even a hologram, she has physical weight and tangible mass, and she's scary enough now that we're afraid to ask her what that weight is. After looking closely at all the footage of Ms. Minutes from the recent trailer, from all the episodes of Season 1, and various other clues, in a true deep dive into a bevy of research, I have arrived at a horrifying conclusion of what Ms. Minutes might actually be. Hello. And buckle up, kiddos, because we're gonna have some Oppenheimer nightmares over this one. SAG-AFTRA has informed us that entertainment journalists like New Rockstars are allowed to cover movies and TV shows during the strike, but we stand with the writers and actors that are currently on strike to get the working conditions they deserve. And please subscribe to the deep dive for some crazy details no one spotted in Loki Season 1 and The Dark Knight. Okay, the new trailer for Loki Season 2 shows a past form of Ms. Minutes, a paler shade of yellow-orange, wearing a skirt. And she appears briefly in a shot from the 1893 Chicago World's Fair episode, growing to gigantic size and chasing down the fleeing Chicagoans.
You better run!
So in addition to this flattering skirt, it is worth noting that Ms. Minutes here has an actual hour hand and minute hand on her face. Remember in Season 1, when she was a darker shade of orange, there were no clock hands on her face. Could this be an atomic clock thing? This version of Ms. Minutes ticking down to some future that the Season 1 future version of Ms. Minutes doesn't even bother keeping track of anymore. Keep that in mind. As we observed in Season 1, Ms. Minutes is not just a hologram projection, she has actual physical mass. Like when Loki tries swatting at her with that rolled up jet ski magazine, the sound editors went to the effort to mix in little taps of her feet landing on the surfaces and on the keyboard.
Watch it, where's your manners? Oh, hey, quit it! That is not nice. Jerk.
When she was first introduced in the TVA welcome video in episode 1, director Kate Herron said that they planned to have her jump off the screen at that point, but that would have been just too crazy for the first episode. The VFX team Luma that created the Ms. Minutes effect told Variety that in addition to Mr. DNA from Jurassic Park, they pulled from Felix the Cat and from Betty Boop, and overall the welcome video was really a parody of 1950s propaganda films for kids. A is for Atom and Destination Earth, the latter of which was produced by a petroleum company, and the former anthropomorphized an atom to acquaint kids with atomic energy and transform it from a hulking giant to a smaller, cute form, which in its own way is even more terrifying. The Luma artist said, quote, "But as you learn more about the TVA, we see her not just as this mascot, especially toward the end of the series when we understand that she knows more about this than we do, and she has an agenda of her own. When she becomes more sinister than we actually think, she starts getting a bit more naturalistic, a little bit more dramatic. Instead of having everything be keyframed, we actually did some motion capture to get a little bit more nuance into the role, which is not normal for cartoon characters. Absolutely not normal. Motion capture. Now, we don't know if it was Tara Strong who did this herself or another stand-in actor, but there is more humanity to this character. Like when Loki asks her what she is in episode 2, she has a very creepy response.
Can you hear me? Are you recording or are you alive?
Sort of both.
Both a recording and alive? Is Ms. Minutes self-aware that her existence lies along a predestined path scripted by He Who Remains, making her both something that was recorded and also alive, as we all are? After the Season 1 finale, Kate Herron told Marvel.com that Ms. Minutes was, quote, that devil on the shoulder, saying there's something a bit more sinister going on here with her. We always had a version where Loki and Sylvie kept meeting her at the Citadel. At one point, we had a fight scene with Ms. Minutes in the Citadel. We had all kinds of stuff for her. A fight scene that now seems to be unfolding in the Season 2 trailer, as we see some form of Ms. Minutes can exist in the real world. She's not just confined to the halls of the TVA or in the Citadel at the end of time, but she's out here in the open air. Notice how she is initially perched on what kind of looks like Victor Timely. We don't see his face, but that does look like his suit, and that is definitely Renslayer, aka Rebecca Tormenay, beside him. So it's like Ms. Minutes might have emerged here to defend Papa. But if this occurred in 1893 Chicago, why would there be no historical record of a Victor Timely or his temporal marvels or a giant glowing kaiju clock? And why is the 1893 Chicago World's Fair better known for figures like the mass murderer H.H. Holmes, who preyed upon young people who moved to the city for the exhibition and confessed to as many as 27 victims? Well, I believe this with Ms. Minutes was the history of the 1893 Columbian exhibition, but it was pruned from the record. Now, longtime New Rockstars viewers know how much we use Geologie, and and how long we've been using it for, but if this is your first time hearing about Geologie, get ready for blockbuster quality skincare on a student film budget. Geologie is a 23-time award-winning skin, hair, and body care company recognized in Men's Health, Oprah Daily, Hypebeast, Birdie, Esquire, and GQ. Geologie's products are just a handful of powerful, proven ingredients that have been trusted by dermatologists for decades. Geologie can help you fight acne, reduce oiliness, prevent wrinkles, combat dark or puffy under eyes, have smoother, hydrated skin, and target signs of aging. Everything you need to keep your skin healthy, no matter how much you soak in the pool this summer. Don't know where to start? Geologie can create a simple and effective skincare or hair care routine for you. All you gotta do is take a quick 30-second quiz. Right now, if you use the code NewRockstars100, Geologie will give you 100% off their award-winning skincare trial set. You'll also get an additional bonus offer of up to 30% off one skin, hair, or body products when you add it to your trial. It's truly a wild offer, one of the best they've ever given our audience. So click the link in the description or go to geolog.ie/rockstars100 to get started. Remember, part of the tradition of the Loki series has been to take real-world historical mysteries and anomalies and to give greater context around them through this science fiction. Loki Season 1 retconned the real-world 1971 mystery hijacker D.B. Cooper and established that that was Loki. The Void also included sightings of ancient world wonders, the conspiracy theory-linked Polybius arcade game, the USS Eldridge, which is also linked to conspiracy theories, so the setting of the 1893 World's Fair seems like it might be doing a similar thing. The Loki Season 2 trailer included a poster in an elevator warning about temporal radiation, and you can actually see a version of that poster among a number of Season 2 prop posters that talks about how the suit that we later see worn by Mobius in the trailer allows for 15 minutes of exposure near the temporal core, which tells us that the TVA, this structure, is really a kind of temporal radiation power plant, using time as a kind of nuclear fuel. And the way that time is broken here causes that fuel to leak out like a Chernobyl incident. By the way, these posters also give context to other trailer shots like your time cube atmosphere that also seems to be a cube made of that same orange temporal radiation, and it's described in this poster as largely non-toxic. There's also a lot of posters about the key lime pie slices from the automat in the trailer, and I gotta talk about this because it's crazy. Apparently limits TVA employees to 1 slice per week, requires tokens, no exchange for tokens, and 17 minutes is sufficient. An unofficial Ms. Minute's Twitter account tweeted, or I guess X posted, "Everyone knows that apple pie is better than key lime," which I suppose is a reference to the McDonald's campaign that the Loki season's gonna be doing, but for what it's worth, the working titles for Avengers Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars are Apple Pie 1 and Apple Pie 2. So my working theory for the key lime pie is that since it is a bright shade of green and key lime pie normally isn't that vibrant, it's kind of more of a mustardy yellow color, this could be kind of a soylent green, used to keep the TVA employees fed and happy and brainwashed like the Kool-Aid, feeding them the gooey radioactive waste of prune timelines and variants that they gotta do something with. But coming back to our question of what is Ms. Minutes? Well, if we are meant to see the TVA as a radioactive power plant with temporal radiation and a core, Victor Timely's exhibition could have been a presentation by an early American inventor, someone between Edison and Tesla's era and the era of Einstein and Oppenheimer. Imagine a future Nathaniel Richards scientist going back to this point in history to alter history, to bypass the 20th century's greatest mistake, the eternal Fastos' folly at Hiroshima, the unleashing of atomic energy onto the world, and instead offering an alternative, a different, cleaner energy, temporal radiation, using time as fuel. That could be what Victor Timely's machine is showing off here, sparking at the exhibition, like the splitting of the atom, but instead splitting space-time to release temporal radiation. That might be a different kind of mistake, and instead of Mr. Atom, what gets unleashed instead is Ms. Minutes. The crowd turns on Timely, and Ms. Minutes turns on the crowd, and then bottles and captures this crowd in a vast time cube atmosphere, a prison, abducting and absorbing this entire midway plaisance of the Chicago Columbian exhibition into what we now know as the architecture of the TVA, and taking along with it the first wave of TVA employees. He Who Remains could alter this history with a replacement World's Fair that we know from our real-world history and attribute the missing people who got abducted to the dozens of victims of notorious 1890 serial killer H.H. Holmes. Don't tell me it's too soon. It was like 130 years ago. I don't think Marvel is too afraid of retconning that history into this MCU history, as dark and horrifying as it actually was. Read The Devil in the White City. It's disgusting what happened. So what is Ms. Minutes? Not just light, but hard light. temporal radiation, sentient time, bottled into this useful assistant to teach Victorian-era America how to use a cleaner, but it turns out even deadlier form of energy than fission or fusion ended up being, entrapping a replica of the World's Fair into a power plant for all time always. Let me know your thoughts on this explanation of Ms. Minutes, and subscribe to all 3 channels of the New Rockstars Network. You can follow me on all social platforms at EA Voss. Thanks for watching. Bye.